Hello my friend, Simon Miller once again coming from my spooky house room, and I'm going to be that guy and say, you got to go and watch SmackDown Ups and Downs if you want to know what's going on, but the content never sleeps. It's up here like a monster trying to kill us. That's why right here, right now, we got to talk about CM Punk. And before we do get into this video, I just want to say this. Do I know CM Punk? No, I do not. Do I know what CM Punk does away from a wrestling ring? No, I do not. That would make me weird. But as a fan who watches, I think he is a very good pro wrestler. I think he cuts very good promos. I think he has very good pro wrestling matches. And he just has a realness about him. When you do have that emanating out of you, you just become a compelling character. So with all that said, there have been some rumors and speculation flying around everywhere recently that pertains to CM Punk. And that maybe, just maybe, he was the heel or the bad guy like Billie Eilish all along. Why? Here's why. Now this video is based on a very cool Reddit post by the user Red Shoes, or the Red Shoes, and I like to think it is the Japanese referee, that basically broke down CM Punk's quote where he said, "Every day I wake up and I splash water on my face and I look in the mirror and I ask myself, am I the bad guy?" Dun, 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 dun. No more Billie Eilish references. Now they did turn this into a whole story, and as you recall, when Punk did drop this little doozy, a lot of fans did get excited because they were like, oh boy, howdy, CM's about to go villain again. This was especially true when he was tangling with Adam Page because the Cowboy is a popular cat. Not literally, that would be strange. And right here, right now, it's the same with John Moxley. It feels very much like you listen to what the other one has to say and you pick your side and you ride it into town. There is a common theme to this though, because we have had Hangman, we have had the current interim champion, but even when Eddie Kingston was involved, he was getting on a microphone going, dudes, what are you all doing? This CM Punk guy, he ain't no good. Now, I don't know whether this was people treading the line or it was part of the story, but the best part about all of this is that as a fan, I don't have to care. And the best part about it is when I am watching it and I see all these things coming together, it hits me right here in my Tum Tum and I'm like, whoa, I'm super intrigued and maybe I'm going to take my remote controller and tune in next week. It also means when we do get to this title versus title match on Dynamite, I can't call it. I don't know which way it's going to go. And let's also not forget that when it was Punk versus Kingston, Kingston did run the risk of people going, we don't like you, which is doubly nuts. Because you find me someone who isn't a fan of Eddie Kingston, and I will find you the Invisible Man. That's a stupid thing to say. There is the other side to all this as well, because do not forget, it is sports entertainment. If you have one person fighting somebody else, of course you're going to take shots, and of course you're going to say they absolutely suck. I mean, WWE does this, even when we have two babyfaces. Remember Roman Reigns and John Cena? When John Cena absolutely eviscerated Roman Reigns on the microphone? If you haven't seen that, you should probably go and watch it today and just look at Roman's face. The poor boy. But it is these moments that make wrestling so hard to turn away from. But let's also bring in another line that got people going, what is going on? When Hangman Adam Page said to CM Punk's face that he wasn't defending the title against him, and as far as he was concerned, it was more about protecting the company. That is quite the statement to make, and it also ties into the MGF Punk feud, because do not forget during that, Maxwell Jacob Friedman even had a day when he was sympathetic. And given that he is just like the ultimate bad guy, it was more eyebrow raising. Because this all came down to when Max did get into a ring and he said, look, listen, let me tell you my story. When CM Punk walked out of wrestling all those years ago, I was downtrodden and I was beat up because he was my hero and it felt like he turned his back on me. Now, of course, he used this as a ruse and a trick to almost kill CM Punk the following week. Even I was a bit like, oh man, bro, I didn't know I affected you that bad. So at least for the purposes of the narrative, we all got it, and it was yet more wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So this is when we do have to ask the question, has CM Punk been booked as a heel for the entire time in AEW? We just didn't see it. Or maybe we did and we didn't want to, or maybe we've just made this up in our heads, because fantasy booking wrestling is like the greatest thing you can do. Now you can pick any one of these and run with it, which again is a massive tick box. And if you want to get all down and dirty with this shit, you can. There are other more wrinkles to this though, because when we start talking about the likes of Britt Baker, Ricky Starks, Wardlow, FTR, Powerhouse Will Hobbs, they have all gone out of their way in interviews to say, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful having CM Punk backstage, he's helped me, he's helped this guy, and I think overall he's going to be a major asset to our promotion. So would all of a sudden this change if we did have a Starks Punk feud, and you've got to imagine that is on the cards, and if Rick all of a sudden turns around and starts talking like a John Moxley or a Hangman, it's going to be like, well, wait a minute, what are we meant to believe and what are we not? If nothing else, it's this shades of grey that everybody talks about when it does come to wrestling. And if you are able to pull it off and just present yourself to the audience as the person you actually are, and then we decide what bandwagon we want to get onto, well, you could probably say this is when wrestling's at its best. So there's no pandering, and you're basically just being a human being. And once again, you can tie this into reality, because is anybody 100% good or is anybody else 100% bad? No. Apart from Brie Bella's entrance music, that is 100% bad. Now you're saying, Simon, that's not a person. It's basically an inanimate object. It's not even an object, it's just a music file. But honestly, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I just saw the opportunity. As soon as it goes, and it sounds like a goat throwing up on you, I'm out. However, there is one last part to this, because all of our baby faces, or presumed baby faces, are telling us that they see the truth with Punk, and we're not realizing it. I mean, we've just seen it as one of the greatest comebacks of all time, but could this story be about to unravel? I mean, I truly hope it does, because I think that would be fascinating. And of course, there'll be people in the comments losing their minds, but even if I am wrong, do you think I give a flub? Of course I don't. I think that wrestling and everything else in this life is better when you try and spin it positively, just have a good time with it. I do have a slight suspicion that MGF may return to Dynamite and AEW soon, probably on Wednesday, and cost CM Punk his world title when he is getting into it with John Moxley. And at that point, we will have so much more information when it comes to this. Because do we try and make Maxwell Jacob Friedman a babyface? I mean, at the moment, I can't see it. But would you write it out? Absolutely not. And the real reason it would be such good evidence is because MJF is AEW's Forever Bad Guy. I mean, there was a stage where I never thought he'd even show a side of niceness. So mark this on your calendars and watch out. But if we do use this as a catalyst for his return, does it all go off again? Does he cost CM Punk his world title? And after that, does CM Punk lose his mind to where we all go? Turns out everybody else was right. You can also go the other way and you watch this video after the fact and go, Simon, you were totally wrong. And that dude on Reddit. But once again, I love people that come up with stuff like this. Gets me excited. You wanna know why? Because I'm a nerd. If nothing else, let's always remember that these are real people doing predetermined things. So we should be quite balanced, or as balanced as we can be. But yeah, maybe CM Punk has been the heel to you all along, or maybe CM Punk has been the babyface to you all along, or maybe you just don't care. And the secret to all of this is that all those answers are totally fine. Now, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about everything to do with CM Punk. Do you think he's a face? Do you think he's a heel? Or are we just being massive geeks and we have got way too carried away with this? It's probably that one. Also, like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this with your eyes. And Reddit, I suppose. You talk about Reddit, although be careful, they can be kind of crazy. Make sure you come follow us on social media at Simon316 at WhatCultureWWE. Again, we have lots of videos, one of which will be SmackDown ups and downs, and you can find out why I've decided to move into the movie Saw. My name is Simon for What Culture. Thank you very much for joining me as always. I just want to remind you, this is speculation, this is fantasy booking, and it's taking elements of the story and elements of real life and trying to figure out what's going on without like pointing the finger at someone and being super duper rude. None of us know what's going on. None of us knows what's true and what's not true. So let's all just be kind. I don't know how we've got here. Once again, I am compelled to try and insult Brie Bella's music. I'm very tired today, but I'm not going to do that. So instead, I give you a salute. I tell you to take care, and I say, enjoy professional wrestling. Don't take it too seriously, and you shall find you enjoy it even more. Goodbye.